Snaking like a mighty dragon across deserts, grasslands, and rugged mountains, the Great Wall of China stretches over 13,000 miles, one of the most colossal feats of human engineering in world history. Built, rebuilt, and maintained over more than 2 millennia, this wall is not a single continuous structure, but rather a vast network of walls, fortresses, watchtowers, and trenches constructed by various Chinese dynasties. From the earliest stones laid during the Warring States period to the formidable brick fortifications of the Ming Dynasty, the wall evolved with time, changing in purpose, structure, and symbolism. It was never just a wall, it was a frontline defense system, a symbol of unity and authority, a border of empire, and at times even a psychological barrier that defined where civilization ended and the unknown began. It guarded cities and farmland from nomadic invasions. It connected remote outposts and garrisons. It reflected the ambition of emperors and the suffering of countless workers, soldiers, peasants, and prisoners alike, whose hands and lives helped raise it. Today, the Great Wall is more than just a relic of the past. It's a living monument to the spirit of an ancient civilization, a monument built not just with stone and mortar, but with sweat, sacrifice, and enduring vision. This is the story of the Great Wall of China, a story of power, purpose, and perseverance, etched into the earth, visible from the heavens, and remembered forever in the chronicles of mankind. Chapter 1. The Dawn of Defense. Our journey into the origins of the Great Wall of China begins in the chaotic and fragmented landscape of the 5th century BC, an era known as the Warring States period. China was not yet a unified nation. Instead, it was a mosaic of rival kingdoms, locked in a relentless struggle for power, territory, and survival. These states, Qi, Chu, Yan, Han, Zhao, Wei, and Qin, fought not just with swords and armies, but with strategy and infrastructure. Amidst this political turbulence, a revolutionary concept began to take root: defensive architecture as a means of asserting control and protection. It was the state of Qi, located in what is now modern-day Shandong province, that constructed one of the earliest known large-scale walls. Built around 441 BC, the Great Wall of Qi was not a symbol of national pride, but a desperate measure to guard against incursions from neighboring states and nomadic raiders. Measuring roughly 600 kilometers in length, this early wall was constructed primarily from compacted earth and local materials. It snaked across hills and valleys, following the natural contours of the land. Though crude by today's standards, it was a pioneering achievement, a forerunner of the more complex and monumental walls that would come centuries later. These early walls were not yet part of a unified vision. Instead, they were isolated barriers, strategic fortifications built by independent states to suit their own needs. Some had moats, wooden palisades, and watchtowers. Others were simple ramparts, quickly built and easily destroyed. But their purpose was clear: to slow down invaders, funnel attacks into predictable paths, and provide crucial moments for defenders to prepare. These primitive fortifications, born from conflict and paranoia, laid the ideological and architectural foundations for what would eventually become one of the most enduring monuments in human history. Even in their infancy, these walls spoke of a universal truth: that civilization, when confronted by fear and uncertainty, builds walls, not just of stone, but of strategy and survival. The wall in the modern era. As the Ming Dynasty fell in 1644, the once vital Great Wall lost its central role in China's military strategy. The invading Manchu Qing dynasty entered China not through a breach in the wall, but by exploiting political alliances and passing through the very gates meant to keep outsiders out, specifically the Shanhaiguan Pass. Once in power, the Qing expanded China's borders far beyond the wall, rendering it less critical as a frontline defense. Its role shifted from protection to legacy. Over the next few centuries, nature, time, and neglect took their toll. Storms and earthquakes wore down its stones. Plants overgrew its pathways. Bricks were looted by villagers for homes, farms, and roads. Entire sections crumbled into ruin, and in many places, the once mighty wall vanished into the landscape, indistinguishable from the hills it was built upon. By the 19th and early 20th centuries, Western explorers and scholars began to rediscover the wall. Adventurers from Europe and America described it as a marvel, a mystery, and a monument to ancient ambition. Yet ironically, it was outsiders who first called attention to its cultural value, even as many in China saw it as a symbol of a feudal and warlike past. It wasn't until the mid-20th century, following the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949, that serious efforts to protect the wall began. With modernization sweeping across the country, many feared the wall could be lost forever unless steps were taken to preserve it. In the 1980s, conservation became a national priority. The Chinese government launched major restoration projects, especially in more accessible sections like Badaling, near Beijing, which was chosen as a showcase site for tourism and national pride. These restoration efforts, while sometimes controversial for their methods, helped reignite a global appreciation for the wall, not just as a military relic, but as a World Heritage treasure. That recognition was solidified in 1987, when the Great Wall of China was officially designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was a turning point. From that moment, the Great Wall was no longer just China's. It belonged to the world. A symbol not of division, but of shared human endeavor. A monument not only to ancient empires, but to the timeless desire to shape, define, and preserve civilization itself. And yet the struggle continues. Even today, many sections of the wall, particularly in remote areas, remain unrestored, unprotected, and at risk. Weather, human activity, and erosion continue to chip away at its stones. Preservation is a race against time. The wall today, the Great Wall of China, stands not just as a monument to ancient strategy or imperial ambition, but as a living, breathing symbol of China's rich history, cultural pride, and national identity. Rising and falling along the ridgelines of mountains, cutting through valleys and deserts, the wall still carries with it the echoes of centuries gone by. It tells the story of emperors and empires, of soldiers and scholars, of struggle and innovation. The best preserved and most visited sections, such as Badaling, Mutianyu, Jinshanling, and Simitai, have become major tourist destinations, drawing millions of visitors every year. Here, travelers from around the world walk the same paths once patrolled by Ming soldiers. They climb its steep steps, gaze out from its watchtowers, and look beyond the wall into the past. Badaling, just 70 kilometers from Beijing, was the first section to be opened to the public after restoration. It has become a national icon, featured in documentaries, postcards, and even state ceremonies. Presidents, prime ministers, and dignitaries have walked its length, paying tribute to what it represents: endurance, unity, and strength. Meanwhile, Muchanyu, with its lush mountain scenery and less crowded paths, offers a more peaceful experience. Tourists often remark on the contrast between the wall's imposing structure and the serenity of the surrounding landscape, a balance of power and beauty that defines much of China's heritage. And yet beyond these famous stretches lie wild, unrestored sections, crumbled stones hidden by vegetation, forgotten towers reclaimed by time. They are quieter, less visited, but equally powerful. In these untouched areas, one can still feel the raw presence of history. No guardrails, no ticket booths, just silence, wind, and ancient stone. Across China, the wall has become more than a tourist attraction. It has entered art, poetry, music, and film. It appears in classrooms, in textbooks, on currency, and in the hearts of the people. It is a source of pride, a metaphor for resilience, and a bridge between past and present. In a rapidly changing world, where skyscrapers rise and digital borders blur, the Great Wall remains rooted in stone, defying time. It reminds us that while progress moves forward, history must be remembered.